Hello, everyone. Emily and Jack had what everyone thought was the perfect life. Jack was the kind of husband people admired, hard-working, kind, and utterly devoted to his wife. They were a dynamic duo, a pair that complemented each other in every way. From lazy weekend brunches to quiet movie nights, Jack adored Emily and made sure everyone around them knew it. They had been married for 5 years, yet Jack still looked at Emily with the same sparkle in his eyes that he had on their wedding day. He believed he knew her inside and out, convinced they were soulmates in every sense of the word. However, as time passed, little things started to feel off. Emily, who had once eagerly shared every detail of her day, became more reserved. She laughed less, avoided Jack's gaze at times, and always seemed preoccupied, even when they were alone together. Jack brushed off the changes, thinking they were due to stress from Emily's new job, a demanding marketing role that required long hours and frequent travel. Still, a quiet, persistent feeling of unease settled in his chest, something he couldn't shake. The first sign came one Friday night, when Emily went out for a girls' night. Jack encouraged her to enjoy herself. But as the night wore on and her text slowed to a trickle, his stomach began to churn. When she finally stumbled in late, faintly smelling of cologne and looking a little too disheveled for a simple girls' night, Jack's suspicions grew. Yet he pushed them aside. He didn't want to be the type of husband who doubted his wife's every move. Emily had never given him a reason to question her. Until now. 2 weeks later, the second sign appeared. Jack was helping Emily with laundry when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number popped up on the screen. Last night was unforgettable. When can we do it again? Jack felt his heart sink. He set the laundry down and took a deep breath. Emily noticed his expression and quickly swiped the message away, forcing a smile as she said, "Work stuff. Just a joke from a client." Jack forced a smile in return, but the doubt had taken root. The words from the message echoed in his head, leaving an uncomfortable knot in his stomach. He started to change, becoming more withdrawn, watching Emily more closely, and painfully aware of every small behavior he had once found endearing. It wasn't long before Jack's worst fears were confirmed. One rainy Saturday night, Emily sat him down and told him she'd said she'd be working late again. Jack kissed her goodbye, but as he watched her drive away, the suffocating weight of doubt pressed heavily on his chest. On impulse, he grabbed his keys, got into his car, and followed her. He kept a safe distance, turning off his headlights to avoid detection. Emily's car eventually pulled into a small, dimly lit bar on the other side of town. Jack parked a few spaces away, his heart pounding as he watched the scene unfold. A man, tall, with dark hair and a wide grin, stood waiting near the entrance. As Emily stepped out of her car, she laughed, her voice carrying through the cool night air, and wrapped her arms around him. Jack's heart shattered. As we dive deeper into the story, take a moment to join our storytelling family here at Lost Love Mysteries. If this tale has captivated you so far, why not subscribe for more unforgettable journeys that might just resonate with your own life? Now, let's see how the story unfolds. Jack watched them disappear inside the bar before driving home. The image of Emily embracing the man burned into his mind. His vision clouded with anger and betrayal. He stumbled into the empty house. A flood of emotions overwhelmed him, but at the same time, he felt strangely numb. He poured himself a drink, then another. The alcohol dulled the pain just enough for him to think clearly. Jack realized there was no saving his marriage. The woman he had loved was gone, replaced by someone he no longer recognized. But instead of lashing out in anger, he decided to do something else. Something that would make Emily feel the sting of betrayal as sharply as he did. Over the next week, Jack worked methodically, carefully preparing a plan to ensure Emily's infidelity would come back to haunt her. He began by quietly emptying their joint bank accounts, transferring the funds into an account she couldn't access. She had no way of knowing until it was too late. Piece by piece, Jack started packing his belongings. taking only the essentials and ensuring there was no trace he had touched the house. At work, he coordinated with his boss to transition to remote work. It was a seamless process, and Jack ensured he could leave without raising suspicion. He didn't want Emily to realize what was happening until he was long gone. The night before his departure, Jack booked a suite at a nearby hotel, ensuring his location would remain unknown to Emily. As he packed the last of his things, a strange calm settled over him. He didn't feel like the same man who had adored his wife with all his heart. He was someone new now, someone hardened by betrayal. The stage was set. Tomorrow, Emily would return to an empty house, stripped of the life they had built together, and be left with nothing but the consequences of her actions. That he knew Emily would likely spend the night with her mystery man, which fit perfectly into his plan. While she was out, Jack carefully carried out the final steps. He left a single note on the kitchen counter. It was simple and cold, devoid of explanation or apology, just 3 words. "I know everything." Jack made one last sweep through the house, ensuring he left behind only the hollow remnants of what they had built together. By the time he closed the door for the final time, the house was nearly empty, a shell that mirrored the emptiness in his heart. At the hotel, Jack poured himself a glass of whiskey and watched the clock. He imagined Emily's reaction when she returned home. The confusion that would bloom into panic as she read the note, saw the empty rooms, and realized he was gone. He hoped she would feel even a fraction of the pain she had caused him. Emily stumbled into the house at dawn, the scent of someone else's cologne still clinging to her clothes. She called out for Jack, expecting him to be asleep in bed. But the silence that greeted her was unsettling. Flicking on the lights, her gaze fell on the note on the kitchen counter. Panic set in as she darted from room to room, her breaths quickening with each step. The closets were half empty, the drawers bare, and even their wedding photos were gone. Every trace of Jack had been meticulously erased. Her heart pounded as she grabbed her phone and dialed his number. The calls went straight to voicemail. Frantic, she left message after message, her voice breaking as she begged him to come back. But Jack didn't answer. He was already long gone. In the weeks that followed, Emily tried desperately to reach him. She called friends, family, and even showed up at his workplace, only to discover he had taken a remote assignment. Each unanswered call, each unreturned text chipped away at her composure, leaving her with nothing but regret and heartbreak. Meanwhile, her relationship with the mystery man soured quickly. The excitement that once seemed intoxicating faded in the cold light of reality. She was left alone, forced to confront the full weight of her choices. Jack, on the other hand, started fresh. He rebuilt his life in a new city, surrounded by new friends and far from the shadows of his failed marriage. He found peace in taking control of his own story, refusing to let betrayal define him. When Jack looked back, he felt no bitterness, only a quiet sense of satisfaction. He had given Emily what she wanted, freedom, but in the end, she had only trapped herself in a prison of loneliness and regret. Sometimes, the greatest revenge is simply moving on,